Okay, I want to show you two things. I'm talking to you right now on my Ring Outdoor Cam Plus, and recently, due to a Super Bowl ad, Ring cameras kind of became the center of a firestorm.
You guys had an ad during the Super Bowl that got a lot of attention.
It was all about Search Party, a new dragnet for lost dogs that ended up creeping a lot of people out.
One post of a dog's photo in the Ring app starts outdoor cameras looking for a match. Search Party from Ring uses AI to help families find lost dogs.
How did we get here?
Be a hero in your neighborhood with Search Party.
And I want to show you this. It is a map. Now it looks like a population map, but it isn't. It's a map of something much bigger, a coverage map. And it is the reason that Ring is so important to Amazon's bigger vision for the Internet of Things. And why Search Party for Dogs is just the beginning. I don't have a dog, but I do have an Amazon account. Yeah, I love him. He's beautiful. So I am gonna see just how Search Party works and if it works as promised for something like this. I am gonna have YouTube name this guy. What is his name? I will abide. Okay, so my next goal is to see if I can get Ring to think if my little doggy here is a real dog. Because Ring works as a motion detector, I'm gonna have to be still for a little bit, or maybe hide, and then I'm gonna see if I can move the dog and get Ring to register it as something having happened. Go. Now. So we're gonna see if we can convince the Ring camera that he is a real dog. Wish me luck. He's moving. I think he fell. Okay, so after this first test, I'm starting to think that the Ring is smart enough to know that it shouldn't really acknowledge an animal, which totally makes sense since, like, if you had a cat or whatever, you wouldn't want your Ring always going off and recording stuff. So it's interesting to see the AI that good. There were also some entries where it would say stuff like a person walks into the room. So the AI is doing some complex stuff. And so I'm curious if I can convince it that this is a real dog on Search Party. So that's the next step. All right, so I want to tell you about a company where you are the customer, not the product. And that is the sponsor of this video. It's Monarch. You pay a subscription fee to get your entire financial life together. You don't get your data sold, you don't have ads sold to you, you just get to learn exactly how your financial life is going. I'm gonna show you a couple of examples of my favorite things. It's gonna be kind of a funny demo because I have my entire financial life put into Monarch on my phone and on the web. And so they've got some demos that I can kind of walk you through so that you can check them out. So my two favorite features about Monarch are that you get to see all your investments, all your net worth in one place. And it does a great job of letting me see where everything is. And that's really important when you're making a budget. The other thing I love is that they have a list of recurring expenses. So you have a subscription monitoring service kind of baked into this. Thank you to Monarch for partnering with me. You can start your free trial and get 50% off your first year of what they're calling total money clarity, which is a tagline that makes a lot of sense to me. You can use the QR code, the link down in the description, or code PHIL50. So yeah, try it out. I think you will find it really nice to have it all in one place and working for you, not selling you. All right, let's get back to the video.
Available to everyone for free right now.
Okay, so how did we get to this point? I want to intertwine two timelines here. All right, the timeline of IoT, Internet of Things, and the timeline of Ring cameras, because they are both kind of connected. This is the Stanford Daily here from 1974, and it says, computer feeds famished AI staff. And so this vending machine right here, it is kind of like this early hallmark in this idea of the Internet of Things, which is the idea that not just people can access the internet, but that things should be able to access the internet too. So this is another one about the vending machine getting a brain from the Stanford Daily. And so you can see right here, this woman types in her code and tells the computer what she wants to eat or drink. A deli sandwich and a can of Budweiser. Wow, nice job there, going for the Budweiser. All right. Did not read that caption before. Didn't know she's just having a Bud with her lunch. The pony also serves cold Budweiser, Tuborg, or Rainier. Wow, a great selection of not very good beers. The next big stage that you end up seeing is from this article right here. It is about the only Coke machine on the internet. And this is getting closer to like legit Internet of Things territory. They got annoyed with having to go down and figure out that the machine was empty, etc. And so they installed micro switches in the Coke machine to sense how many bottles were present in each of its 6 columns of bottles. The switches were hooked up to CMUA, the PDP-10 that was then the main departmental computer. A server program was written to keep tabs on the Coke machine state, including how long each bottle had been in the machine. This is like a more pure example of that Internet of Things dream. And so from the beginning, people realized the potential of this. All right, let me find the next example. This is a great article about the 1990 internet toaster. People are still realizing the potential. You could set how well done the toast was from the internet. Remember, this is back in 1990, which is kind of insane. In 1991, another famous example is the Trojan Room coffee pot, which is this coffee pot in a Cambridge in a computer room known as the Trojan Room. And it would let you know when the pot was full. So this is getting closer to the Internet of Things vision that you really see fulfilled with Ring. I'm looking at you, Ring. This will by no means be a comprehensive list, but you also even had stuff like the Wear Cam. So this one right here had a camera, it had microphones and earphones, all built into an ordinary pair of eyeglasses. I found a paper from 1994 that presents an idea that will come up later, which is the idea of kind of certain nodes of control, where some of the nodes are more complex, they're more able to handle information, and then other ones are simpler. They're kind of pinging and sending little signals to those centralized nodes. This paper by Cisco, the company, not the Thomson author, estimates that sometime around 2008, 2009, there were more devices connected than people. So the Internet of Things was definitely a thing. But there was always a big problem with this. The problem is that all these things, they required a way to be powered and a way to connect. And connecting was often burdensome on power, and connecting could also be kind of expensive. You needed a cheaper and simpler way of doing it. This is Jamie Siminoff on Shark Tank. Dun, 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 dun. Ring wasn't Ring, it was something called Doorbot. And I would argue that the vision was a lot smaller than what it ended up being for Ring. At one point, Robert Herjavec even says,
"It's really not an internet play, it's a consumer device."
I think this is reflected in the early pitch deck as well. If you look at the pitch deck for Ring, they're really interested in creating a great product. So this is from 2014. They are trying to get active field units. They see themselves as being competitive with basically the biggest ones in the game, like Apple and Samsung. They pretty quickly rename themselves Ring for the idea of a perimeter, a ring of security around your home. So they have this security vision. In 2014, you have this Kickstarter, which is the IOTA. And it is kind of an idea presenting some of the holy grail for Internet of Things, which is the idea of creating a mesh network. So I don't know if you remember that diagram that I showed earlier of the PDF that presents the idea of nodes. So here's their presentation, and you can see right here the vision that is really compelling for the Internet of Things, the long-range IoTerra radio. And they're comparing themselves to Bluetooth-only trackers like Tile, Stick and Find, and Tracker Bravo. And the idea here is about finding pets too. A healthy dog can cover 100 feet pretty fast, they say. So already they're using this pet tracking as a big example. They are using a technology called long-range radio, which today will often be shortened to LoRa. They're also using other technology too. So this allows those devices to communicate over a long range with each other. And then those devices in turn could communicate with higher powered Wi-Fi enabled devices, GPS trackers, other stuff that's more complicated, but where you can manage the power load and it isn't quite as intensive to have to do it. A mesh in which all these different nodes are connected. So you don't have to worry about monthly fees, and you pretty much don't have to worry about power either. And then in 2017, Ring acquires Ioterra. And then in 2018, Ring buys a company called Mr. Beams. Mr. Beams is a company that basically allows lights at the end of your driveway to be turned on by your Wi-Fi settings, even if they're out of range of Wi-Fi, because they're kind of using this IoT network to get the signal down all the way to the end of your gigantic driveway. And so in 2018, Amazon buys Ring. And in 2019, right after that, Amazon Sidewalk is launched. And that is a very big deal. Ah. I am so sorry. Oh gosh. He's okay. Let's go ahead and name this bad boy. Okay, Doofenshmirtz, Doofy for short, is winning. I don't know, I Googled this. I'm not a big Phineas and Ferb guy. Squeak the Week says, I know it's supposed to be a dog, but the shape says horse to me. How dare you? Sigh is in Silent Husky, the only quiet snowfloof in the world. I kind of like that, sigh. Let's figure out how to do this. Sigh is a dog. I'm gonna point it out the window and down. Am I a bad person for doing this? Verify your identity. So what's my ID for this? Your search party is currently active.
We launched an incredible AI product on looking for dogs with a thing called Search Party. And of course, all this stuff has a lot of Sidewalk in it. We are so excited for Sidewalk, what it can do.
Sidewalk is basically run by this guy. He is named Jay Desai. And so Ring is the linchpin of this incredible IoT mesh network.
How do you create a widespread connectivity without incurring massive infrastructure cost?
It and Echo are the main nodes. They're the things that connect all these little low power devices to Wi-Fi, to the internet, to everything.
It is the foundation of a more connected, efficient, and helpful connectivity.
I talked to Stacy Higginbotham about all this. I'm such a little spoiled guy because I was running on the treadmill, listening to her awesome long-running podcast that she had done about Internet of Things. And then the next day, I'm talking to her and I'm asking her how Sidewalk works and how it interacts with Search Party.
For an assortment of like Ring cameras and Amazon Echo devices, they have a chip inside that is a LoRa, it's actually a proprietary 900 megahertz chip. LoRaWAN is a spec that runs over that frequency range. Sidewalk is its own proprietary thing.
The reason that Sidewalk is was sort of this holy grail is that it used the heft of all the Ring and Alexa devices to actually make the mesh dense enough that it could support people building on it as a platform, which is like, how in the world would you even do that?
History is littered with the efforts to make a low-power, long-range IoT network. The problem is, you could spend a lot of money for like something super valuable, like if you're wanting to track a crate of diamonds across the ocean, it's worth it to pay for cellular connectivity, right? But if you just want to like put something in your mailbox, like a sensor that's far away from your home network, and be like, did someone open my mailbox? You don't want to pay a cellular subscription for that. It's just not worth it, right? By going over consumer networks, it solves this because it already has these devices. They actually have a fully functioning network that they paid whatever the cost of putting the chips into their devices. And because they're at such scale, it's not a lot.
Is it right for me to think of the difference between this and AirTags as primarily one of implementation?
I would think about it as the difference is the technology, because AirTags are using Bluetooth.
Okay. They do, okay.
So Amazon actually has an incentive to keep people happy because this is a business they want to build, right? And they're reselling this network to other people. They're becoming a cell phone carrier, except it's not cellular service, right? They're a network provider.
Right.
And in addition, this network is feeding into their IoT underlying cloud services too. So if you get a customer on your Amazon network, you're also getting a customer into the AWS services affiliated with it.
Now, Sidewalk has this thing called location services that allows people to triangulate the location of a device using a variety of different methods, whether it's Bluetooth or satellite or the location of other bridge devices. There are tons of ways for them to know where you are. But I asked Amazon about this. I asked them if Ring Search Party used Sidewalk at all in order to find out where those dogs were. And they said it didn't. So my guess, and I want to emphasize this as a guess, is that they just use the location that you give via the Ring app, via Wi-Fi and stuff like that. And then they figure out who your neighbors are just through simple geographic perimeter. They don't need to use this fancy Sidewalk technology with the mesh network because they kind of know where everybody is and where every camera is already. But even though the Ring cameras don't necessarily use this mesh network, they are super important. They are beacons. It is important that as many people as possible have Echo devices and Ring cameras or Ring devices because that powers the mesh network for all the low-powered stuff that Amazon wants to have people use all around the United States. I'm not going to get into the super technical stuff, but I want to regain some nerd cred by giving you an analogy. Do you know the pylons in StarCraft?
You must construct additional pylons.
There are these things that the Protoss have to build, and basically if you don't have a pylon, you can't really work on other stuff. They're kind of like this key connector. Echo and Ring devices, if they're above a certain tier, they are like the pylons for this mesh network. So it is super important to Amazon that they stick around. All right, so embarrassing. You know, I took a practice LSAT once, and I actually did pretty well on it. If I were a lawyer right now, I'd be finishing up lunch, helping evil people succeed. All right, I'm seeing cameras. It's the most painful thing ever. All right.
Like your dog.
Thank you, thank you. Sai is his name. I mean, I'm seeing a ton of rings. There's a ring. Oh my. Nobody found my dog. I did get some responses to my post, but it was just somebody saying that they needed that. I actually think that my failure to fool my Ring camera speaks well for the product. And so I want to be devil's advocate for Amazon Sidewalk and also for Ring Search Party. Learning about the history of IoT made me think that Sidewalk really is a cool thing. It is amazing that we have kind of lived the dream and created this network. But there is a problem. The response to that Super Bowl ad for Search Party is not because anybody has a problem with saving dogs. It's that we can draw the logical conclusion. That's why the recently canceled partnership with Flock is so disturbing, and the ongoing one with Axon scares people a bit because they can see the way it might escalate. Some of the animations that appear in this commercial almost make it seem more scary and daunting.
No, it's totally scary.
Why do you find it scary as someone with experience with this?
It's normalizing the creation of the panopticon. I mean, just at its base level. And Amazon's like, don't worry, you guys, it's just to track dogs. And today it is, but it's very easy. And Amazon already is using facial recognition on its Ring doorbells. The way it tracks dogs is they have an AI model that's like, I see a dog. Do I see this dog? But it's very easy to load software on the back end to say, I see a recognized face.
And even though Ring Search Party doesn't use Sidewalk right now, it could integrate quite quickly and quite easily with a nationwide mesh network that is almost inescapable. I don't think you should necessarily listen to my opinion on this. After all, I'm the guy who is just walking a stuffed dog around the street. However, I do think that all this proves that you should have an opinion, because the search party, it is on, and you can choose whether or not you want to stop it. What if this is just my new vlogging setup? All right, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you haven't been here before, cover business, tech, culture, all that stuff, where it all intersects. Thank you so much to Stacy for talking to me about this. Like I said, I was listening to her on the treadmill, and the next day I was talking to her on the computer. So that was pretty awesome. Thank you also to Jamie and to Amazon for responding to my request for comment. Super helpful to do that and just to clear things up. I would love to know what you think about this issue. I really do think that it is complicated. That's not saying that you can't have a strong opinion. I think that's fair, but it's interesting because it's complicated. So yeah, I'd love to know what you think about it. If you haven't been here before, I have a newsletter that I put out with every video. It is completely free to subscribe to. It's over on Patreon. And you know when a video comes out, when you get it, and then you also get an extra article about something that I couldn't cover in the video proper. This week, it's all about vending machines. Why are connected vending machines so important to computer history? It's a really weird story that continues today. So yeah, I think it's kind of a fun one. So click on over there if you want to get that. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye-bye.